On June 9, 2014, Carmelo Flores Laura died in Bolivia. His life was unremarkable and uncontroversial, except for one thing. Carmelo claimed to have been born in 1890 and had some documentation to back up his claim. This would make him an incredible 123 years old at the time of his death, and the oldest human being to ever live. This claim was complicated somewhat by the fact that birth records were not kept in Bolivia until 1940, with baptism records used to record live births before then. But in 2013, reporters were shown a police identification card and an entry into the civil registry showing Carmelo's birth date of July 16, 1890. Although Carmelo himself sometimes had trouble remembering just how old he was. This is because his memory had understandably gotten a little foggy for his last several decades. One of his earliest memories was fighting in the 1933 Chaco War with Paraguay, an event which would have taken place while Carmelo was in his mid-40s, but which he remembered only dimly today. Carmelo lived for all of his life in an area of the small town of Frasquilla, a village in which time seems to stand still. Electricity has only come to the town within the last few years, and farmers still till the soil with ox-driven plows. Carmelo and his wife, who passed away about a decade prior to Carmelo's death, had 5 children, all of whom he outlived except one. His extended family included 16 grandchildren and 39 great-grandchildren, all of whom long ago moved away from the tiny town. When it comes to his longevity, Carmelo may have had a secret or two, although they may not be practical for just anyone. He went on daily walks, without the use of a cane even in his final years, and it may have helped that his village's drinking water came from the peak of Mount Ilampu, one of the highest points in Bolivia. Carmelo claimed to eat only barley, never noodles or rice, and not to have drank any alcohol since he was a much younger man. Like many highlands Bolivian peasants, he also had a daily habit of chewing on coca leaves, which act as a stimulant and can help stave off hunger. He used to eat meat such as mutton and pork when it was more freely available, but such luxuries are hard to come by in this tiny Bolivian village. As a young man, he remembered eating fox and other kinds of game, but in his later years had pretty much stuck to barley and the occasional potato. In his younger years, Carmelo herded cattle and sheep, and he mostly attributed his good health to a lot of walking. He lived in a thatched hut with a dirt floor at an altitude of over 12,000 feet, with no modern luxuries, but had never been seriously ill a day in his life. Since his age was not verified by original birth records, some have questioned his date of birth, but none in Bolivia, including the director of the country's civil registrar, who says there is no reason to think that the date logged in the national registry is inaccurate. If they are, then the list of things that Carmelo's birth predates is truly mind-boggling. He arrived before motion pictures, sound recording, and manned flight. Tchaikovsky's Sleeping Beauty ballet debuted the year he was born. He was older than the assembly line, the gas engine, and over 60 countries. He is also the holder of a record that may never be broken, at least without the use of the kind of life-extending technology that is still only speculative at this point. Carmelo Flores Laura died at a month shy of 124 years old, making him in all likelihood the oldest person who ever lived, and perhaps the oldest person who ever will live.